It's the middle of the night when a group of friends decides to venture into a hospital that's been closed down for quite a while. They wouldn't come to a place like this alone, not unless they were drawn there on purpose, because apparently this building is hiding something. Despite looking like an empty shell with no doctors or patients in sight, the Felix Bonus Hospital in Santiago, Chile is rumored to carry a certain presence within its corridors. Fortunately for the group, the lights inside are still functioning, seemingly kept alive by some kind of emergency backup system. But even with full visibility, what unfolds next is no less unsettling. See for yourself what their camera recorded.
Familia, estamos aquí en el hospital Felipe Bunne. Son las... ¿Qué hora es? ¿Qué hora es, familia? ¿Qué hora es? ¿Qué hora es? La 1:08. La 1:08. Hoy Dios, con la María, Dios de la vida. La 1:08. La 1:08.
It goes by fast, but if you look carefully, you'll notice what appears to be the silhouette of a figure casually passing right by the group. Nobody picked up on it in the moment, and it wasn't until they reviewed the footage much later that anyone realized what had been captured. Something was clearly there, though exactly what remains difficult to pin down. For just a brief instant, we can make out what looks like the distinct outline of a small figure, and yet, somehow, not a single person in the group seemed to notice it at the time. This is precisely why they've come to believe it may have been the spirit of a former patient who hasn't yet realized they're gone. Ghost or not, whatever was caught on that footage isn't giving up its secrets anytime soon. A paranormal content creator who goes by Raga decided to look into an abandoned hospital with a reputation for being haunted. He headed in, equipped with cameras and ghost hunting gear, spending hours wandering through pitch-dark corridors and crumbling rooms. In spite of all his effort, nothing out of the ordinary seemed to occur, and he walked away convinced the whole investigation had been a total bust. But once he got back home, that's when things took a turn.
Hola.
Objects in his living room began shifting on their own without any apparent cause, and doors would violently slam shut out of nowhere. Then, one day, while he was filming these bizarre incidents, Raga picked up a deeply unsettling growling noise on camera.
La puerta está moviendo. Acaban de golpear la silla a mi derecha. Ahí. ¿Qué les dije?
The sound was disturbing enough that he wasted no time getting out of that room. Wanting some kind of answer for what was going on, he eventually tried to make contact with whatever force might be behind the disturbances.
Si hay algún alma que necesita luz, que esté aquí. Eso no me lo esperaba para nada.
Right in the middle of that session, a number of items in the kitchen suddenly came crashing down to the floor. Stranger still, a storage box that had been resting on top of a cabinet appeared to have shifted position moments later, despite nobody having gone near it. A lot of viewers are convinced that Raga may have accidentally brought something back with him from that derelict hospital. Others remain skeptical and suspect there's a rational explanation behind it all. But regardless of where you stand, the footage has become one of the most spine-chilling unsolved mysteries on his channel. This unlucky hiker ventured a little too deep into the forest. As he made his way along the trail, something ahead stopped him cold. A dark silhouette was visible just beyond a tree trunk, positioned directly in his line of sight. The shape didn't budge, it didn't sway with the breeze, it made no attempt to conceal itself once it became aware of the camera. It just stood there, completely motionless, staring back at him in total silence. For close to 20 seconds, it held perfectly still, long enough that there was no mistaking it for wildlife or a shadow cast at a strange angle. What really gets under your skin is the tree itself. The trunk is narrow, far too narrow to account for the sheer width of whatever is standing behind it. Out in the open like that, the figure's shoulders and upper body clearly extend well beyond what that tree could ever cover, and yet gradually it begins to withdraw behind it. Not stepping back, not turning around, just sort of folding itself behind the trunk, as though the tree is somehow much bigger than it actually is. But if that tree physically couldn't conceal something of that size, then on December 19th, 2024, a young boy can be seen jolting up from the living room sofa and bolting out of the room in a complete panic. Just seconds before, he had been sound asleep on the couch with the TV still running when something suddenly snapped him awake, something that sent a wave of sheer terror through him. His first instinct was to get out of that room as fast as possible. He ran straight to his father's bedroom in tears, desperate to tell him what he'd witnessed. After hearing his son's account, the father decided to pull up the living room security footage, and what he found stopped him cold. There, in the hallway, something deeply unsettling is visible. A dark gray figure appears to be lurking just beyond the doorway, completely still, seemingly watching the boy as he sleeps. Then, the moment the boy stirs and spots it, the figure slowly fades into the darkness. No footsteps, no movement, just gone. It's no wonder the kid ran screaming to his parents. It's worth mentioning that the audio has been stripped from the clip. Also notable is something that happened roughly a week earlier. The family came home late one night to find their entire house swarming with thousands of flies, which was alarming in itself. And this wasn't an isolated incident either. The boy's mother suspects some form of witchcraft may be at play, especially since she recently relocated from a previous home that had its own history of paranormal activity, and the strange occurrences appear to have followed the family. As always though, I'd love to hear what you think. A woman lost her grandfather in 2024, and among the things he left behind was a trailer where he had spent his final days. Since his passing, the property has sat completely empty, with no one going near it. So when this woman and a friend decided to make the trip out there and take a look around, it was their first time back in a while. The moment they pulled up though, they caught something unsettling, a strange creaking from the floorboards. The exact same sound her grandfather used to make whenever he shuffled down the hall toward his bedroom. Naturally, they stopped in their tracks and started filming. See for yourself what the camera picked up.
Don't, Grandpa's.
Dude, look.
I don't like it. I see it. Right into the house. Yeah, now I go pee.
You think somebody's in there?
No, like right into the house with the car. Oh.
As they focus on the window near the source of the noise, both of them suddenly lose their nerve, because staring back at them is a pale, ghostly face peering out from inside. That was enough for them, and they bolted from the property immediately. Now, the face itself is too indistinct to make out any clear features, but right before they fled, she managed to snap a photo. When she later held that image up next to a picture of her grandfather, the likeness left her speechless. So what's really going on here? Is his spirit somehow anchored to the place where he lived and drew his last breath? Or could there be a completely different explanation altogether? A man uploaded a puzzling clip to his social media page under the title, "In case people don't believe us, and I can tell you right now that what you're about to witness is genuinely fascinating." The footage, pulled from a security camera, shows a man making his way down the street at around 10 o'clock at night. At a certain point, he stops and appears to be having a conversation with someone. But when the recording is played back later, things take a very strange turn. Pay close attention.
Güey, te juro por Dios, güey. Te lo juro por Dios que un señor me preguntó qué onda era la pinera.
Es mamada.
Te lo juro por Dios, güey. Un señor se me acercó y me preguntó, oiga, disculpe, ¿dónde es la pinera? Y por eso le explico, le digo que tenía que cruzar.
As you can see, the man is clearly talking and motioning towards someone, yet there is nobody else visible anywhere around him. It gets even more puzzling when a second camera covering the same area shows the exact same thing. Just him, apparently speaking to thin air. When a friend later asked him what was going on, he insisted he was absolutely talking to another person and had no explanation for why that individual never showed up on any of the recordings. But that's not even the most unsettling part. Take a good look and see if you can catch what else was recorded. If you keep your eyes peeled, you'll notice a faint mist drifting slowly across the street at the precise moment he's engaged with whatever, or whoever, was there. That detail alone led a lot of people to conclude he may have been in the middle of an encounter with a wandering spirit. So where do you land on this? Was he truly by himself, or was there something present that the cameras simply couldn't fully capture? These next clips come from a TikTok page called The Haunted Phone. The account has just 4 videos on it, each featuring an old rotary-style telephone that looks like it dates back several decades. According to whoever posted it, the phone rings entirely on its own, despite not being hooked up to any line whatsoever. Sure enough, the thing starts ringing with no connection to speak of. The person behind the account says this kept happening over and over again, which is ultimately what pushed them to pull out the camera and start documenting it.
Through the phone.
Even the family cat appears to be unsettled every time the phone goes off, reacting as though it's picking up on something that shouldn't be there.
Rings without power.
Still searching for answers, the uploader eventually took the phone apart and examined it from the inside. And yet, even fully disassembled, it kept right on ringing. A few viewers in the comments floated the idea that some kind of residual electrical charge or minor spark in the wiring might be the cause, but the uploader pushed back on that, noting that this is a 1970s model with nothing modern about it. In their final upload, they didn't go into much detail, but they implied the whole ordeal had begun taking a toll on their health, and they'd started to believe the phone itself was somehow to blame. Their solution was to bury it underground, hoping that would put an end to things once and for all. But according to the footage, even with the phone buried beneath the soil, the ringing could apparently still be heard coming up through the ground. So what's your take on all of this? Was there something genuinely supernatural going on? Or does a rational explanation exist somewhere? Drop your thoughts below. Alright, so this story is about a teenage girl named Sophia who regularly posts clips from her everyday life on TikTok. Most of her content is pretty casual and carefree, but one particular video is a whole different story. Apparently, a couple of years prior, Sophia's household had been experiencing a series of strange, inexplicable events. Things like music boxes going off on their own in the dead of night, and her sister reportedly spotting the shadowy silhouette of a small girl darting up the staircase. Then, one day, during a storm, Sophia decided to film the rain outside. But the moment she turned the camera back around toward herself, she inadvertently captured something that sent chills down people's spines. There in the background, just over Sophia's shoulder, a tall, dark shape is clearly visible. And as she shifts out of the frame, this jet black figure slowly rotates its head and appears to fix its gaze directly at her. Sophia has stated that she was completely alone in the house at the time and had absolutely no clue that anything was standing behind her. Even now, she still can't come up with a rational explanation for what appears in that footage, and she remains at a loss for who or what it could have been. A family living in Mexico claims their house has been the scene of ongoing, unexplained disturbances. It all began with mysterious knocking at their front door, yet every time they answered, nobody was there. Not long after, household objects started shifting around without any apparent cause. Ever since that initial knock, the strange occurrences have kept coming, typically in the dead of night, and they seem to settle down only once someone acknowledges them. Given how regularly it was happening, the family decided to start filming.
Son las... no sé si se alcance a ver, las 3 de la mañana con 1 minuto, y mi hermana me acaba de levantar porque dice que se escuchan ruidos en el cuarto. Mi esposo y mi niña están dormidos y vamos a ir a ver qué se escucha en nuestro cuarto. No hay nadie, solamente estamos mi hermana, mi hija, mi esposo y yo. Aquí en este cuarto está solo porque en estos últimos días nadie ha podido dormir aquí. Como podrán ver, el cuarto está totalmente solo y pues nadie duerme aquí, solo estamos nosotros. Mi hermana dice que se escuchan cosas, pero ay, me asusté, pero no sé, pues no se oye nada, no sabe. Amor, amor, levántate, levántate porque allá le pegaron a la puerta, no sé qué pasó, vinimos Sara y yo, se escuchó la puerta, se escuchó la puerta. Mira, acabamos de venir y no estaba así. Todos los cajones están abiertos. Oh, Dios.
Wanting to know what's going on when she isn't in the room, Leo leaves a camera running around the clock. For a while, the footage shows nothing out of the ordinary, but then one evening after dinner, her daughter heads back in to spend time with this so-called...
La niña está dormida. Estamos solos. No sabemos qué fue lo que pudo haber pasado. Mi esposo anda viendo. ¿Qué fue eso? ¿Qué es, amor?
Se movió la puerta, no sé qué va a estar aquí, nada, nada. A ver, espérate.
No hay nada. No hay nada en el baño.
A sudden, loud crash erupts from the bathroom with absolutely no identifiable source. Just like everything else that's been happening, there's no rational way to account for it. Oddly enough, after this particular incident, things seem to quiet down for a period of time. Then, one evening, without warning, it all starts up again.
No sé ni qué horas son, pero se están escuchando ruidos. Y estamos solas. Mi esposo anda trabajando. Mis hermanas están dormidas. Saraí, despiértate. Acompáñenme a ver allá adentro. Se están escuchando ruidos otra vez. Voy a despertar a Ani. Mi amor, levántense por favor para que me acompañen a ver allá adentro. Se están escuchando ruidos. Vamos, agarra por favor a la niña. Dios mío, estamos solas. No sé si alcanzan a escuchar. Se escucha el perro. ¿Qué horas son, hija? Son las 3:33 de la mañana. Ay, Dios.
Dicen que esta hora es muy buena para que le crezcan las cosas, ¿eh?
Estamos solas. Mi esposo le tocó trabajar hoy. Estamos nosotras solas. Tenemos mucho miedo. No, abrázame. Tenemos mucho miedo. Hace como 15 días que se empezó. Que escucharon estos ruidos. Nos es imposible. Ay. Nos es imposible dormir. Cuando estamos solas. Ay, no puede ser. No puede ser, no puede ser. Cada vez se nos hace más difícil dormir. Ay, Dios. Ay, Dios. Ay, Dios. Ay, Dios mío. Ay. No sé si alcanzaron a ver, pero se movió la cortina. Acompáñenme por favor a ver si no es alguien. No puede ser, no puede ser, no puede ser. ¿Hay alguien? Ay, Dios mío, no quiero salir.
They're jolted awake by shuffling noises coming from that same bedroom. While they're capturing it on camera, the curtain starts swaying by itself. A draft might account for the movement, but it doesn't explain the thunderous banging or why the dogs won't stop barking. As with so many cases like this one, what's truly going on inside this home remains completely unresolved. Daniel resides in an older basement apartment alongside his young son. One afternoon, while the two of them were heading out to dump the trash, he noticed his boy repeatedly waving at a large mirror mounted in the hallway. Intrigued, Daniel grabbed his phone and hit record. What he discovered when he played it back left him completely frozen.
I've seen so far. I was taking the trash out with my son and he kept pointing at the mirror and waving and I didn't know why, so I pulled the camera out and I can't believe I caught this.
That's Rowan.
Several days later, his son asked to go back and stand in front of that same mirror again. Daniel began filming once more, and what the camera picked up this time was even harder to explain.
We were taking the dog out and Rowan wanted to go check it out and I can't believe we caught this.
Whoa.
Rowan seems hyped and he's trying to explain to me what he just saw.
In that first clip, there's a fleeting instant where what appears to be another child's face flickers into view right beside his son's reflection. There and gone in a heartbeat. Then, in the second clip, a small, dark shape seems to drift through the mirror's surface before disappearing entirely, and it bears an unsettling resemblance to that earlier face. Daniel still doesn't know what to think. Pure coincidence, some strange play of light, or could something actually be dwelling inside that mirror? A clip posted to social media had viewers scratching their heads after they spotted something unsettling lurking in the background. On the surface, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. Without warning, a long, slender dark shape shot across the frame before vanishing back into the shadows. The person who posted it admitted they had no idea anything was off until they went back and watched it again later. Once the video started making the rounds online, theories flooded in from every direction. A portion of viewers suggested the dark object was probably just hanging from a nearly invisible thread, designed to trick the eye, but plenty of others insisted they couldn't make out any string whatsoever, and found the way the shape moved out of the darkness to be genuinely disturbing. So what's your take? We'll leave that one up to you. Ganem is
Laura is a TikTok content creator whose page is normally focused on everyday vlogs and travel adventures with zero connection to anything supernatural. But on March 11th, 2026, she posted a video that completely shattered her usual style. While taking her dog for a late night walk alongside a friend, the two spotted something deeply disturbing further down the empty street. Here's the raw footage.
في الأرض ولا في السماء وهو السميع العليم. حصنت نفسي بالحي القيوم. يا جماعة والله العظيم إني خايف قسما. بسم الله والله إني شفت أبو محمد. يا ويلي يا ويلي يا ويلي يا ويلي. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامات من شر ما خلق. وش ذا؟ لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله. ثم بسم الله. ما أقدر أستمر. لا ما أنا أعتذر منكم إخواني. القصة مرة كبيرة.
The paranormal activity kicks off immediately and with shocking intensity. First, a full-sized water bottle sitting on the floor launches itself across the room and straight toward Ganem with no apparent cause. Earlier frames captured in the footage clearly show the bottle sitting alone on the ground with zero evidence of any strings or rigging attached to it. The unseen force then strikes again, hurling a jagged fragment of that same broken bottle directly at him. Even with the physical threat escalating, Ganem pushes further into the depths of the building. At the far end of a pitch-black corridor, he catches sight of a chilling dark silhouette with luminous eyes locked directly onto him. As Ganem scrambles backward in panic, the figure violently disintegrates into a dense cloud of smoke and disappears entirely. The way this apparition manifests and then dissolves into nothing is genuinely difficult to explain. Ganem makes the smart call and shuts the investigation down right there on the spot. So, what's your take on this one? The photo posted to Reddit's r/ghost subreddit has stirred up quite the heated discussion. The OP explains that the image was taken at their brother-in-law's restaurant by someone who was just casually snapping pictures. It wasn't until they reviewed the photo afterward that they noticed something that genuinely disturbed them. Apparently, the restaurant itself has a long-standing reputation for strange, unexplained activity, so when they spotted what was lurking in the frame, they weren't exactly shocked. At first glance, the picture looks completely ordinary. Diners sitting at their tables, nothing out of the ordinary. That is, until you notice the strange, hazy figure standing among them. The OP wondered whether this might just be some kind of iPhone camera malfunction, but here's the thing. Every other detail in the shot is razor sharp. This one figure alone appears distorted and out of place, like it doesn't quite belong there. Commenters flooded in with their takes. A number of them are convinced this is a spirit caught in the middle of materializing. Sure, you could argue it's motion blur from someone passing through the frame, but then why does absolutely nothing else in the photo show any sign of distortion? Given the location's well-documented history of paranormal incidents, plenty of people are convinced the camera picked up something that has no business being there. A ghost quietly drifting among the living, completely unnoticed by everyone in that room. In 2023, the YouTube exploration channel MindJUNKIE TV made their way out to the Hinsdale house in western New York. a property widely regarded as the most haunted residence in the entire state. Its dark history is well documented, stretching back to a 1974 exorcism so intense it landed in newspapers across the country, with the family who lived there at the time describing the walls shaking as though the building itself was convulsing. The woods out back are tied to 3 separate violent incidents, among them a brother who attacked his sibling on one of the trails. And inside the living room, there's a glass display case holding a doll that the current owners have explicitly warned every visitor never to open. Casey and Colton broke that rule within the first 10 minutes of arriving.
Feel like a very heavy, almost sinister kind of vibe going in there. So we are here to do an investigation, and we're gonna do a walkthrough with this EMF detector. Whatever spirits may be present, we're not here to harm you, we're only here to communicate. And if you could come close to us, this EMF detector in my hand will go off, and it'll let us know that you're here.
There's this one specific display case with a doll in it, glass enclosure, magnetic latch, and Casey says, it says do not open, do not touch.
Oh, this is the section earlier that was mentioned with this kind of Annabelle type doll in the case.
Mm-hmm.
Says do not open or touch, management, thank you.
What does it say?
Yeah, there was like a couple fires here, and I guess the dolls made it out. See what this doll looks like. It's missing an eyeball. There was like 2 dolls inside of it. One of them had like a missing eye.
It's a trip.
Do you think I should
Him being him, he decides to open the door. I don't think that was a good idea. I was advising against it. You can even hear me on camera.
Enter at your own risk. Casey leads the group straight through the front door and directly to the display case. The warning sign on the glass is impossible to miss, and the doll inside is noticeably missing one eye. Colton opens it anyway, and the moment he shuts the case back up, something starts happening to his hand.
Wow.
like from the back of the couch rubbing against the wall?
It must shimmy like
a lot, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. Want to have a seat across from me?
Sure.
We're told that you could do things on command in this room. And that you've made things move for people. You've made your presence be known. We were told that there was a toy ghost in the corner of the room just hanging from a string, and many people have witnessed the apparitions and the entities of this home actually moving that ghost on command. I heard that you could spin that ghost over there on command. Can you make that ghost start moving? It's 100% still right now. If you start moving that, if you could rotate that ghost, that would be incredible if you could show us that you're here right now. Even the slightest little movement or turn would indicate that you're present with us.
Also, just to not be rude.
Is it?
If there's someone in here present, we would love to see you move this ghost in the corner. I don't even know that you can move that ghost in the corner.
We've heard that you don't like being provoked.
Yeah.
right? So,
and no disrespect, we're not trying to provoke you, but at the same time, wow.
It's moving. Did you see that?
Yeah, ooh.
It's moving. Look, look, look.
In this house, there is no draft, there's no windows open.
Did you see that?
Yeah, ooh.
It's moving. Look, look, look. It slowly starts to...
They debate pulling out the REM pod, then stumble across a message gouged into the wall about a child who went missing somewhere on the floor below. That leads them to the room, the char marks, the circle, and the symbols etched around its edge that one of the crew members recognizes the second they lay eyes on it.
Before disappearing entirely.
Dude, you can't see.
No, it's so dark out here. And middle of the woods, 12 o'clock at night, nobody around. That's usually the position that I find us in.
The wildlife aspect of what we do when we're going into these wooded areas where early in the season they saw 2 baby bear cubs and a mama bear following behind it. Very aggressive type situation there. They have wombats, they have all sorts of very aggressive creatures up there. That's an unsettling thing as well. That danger is very, very real for us.
Hey, bear. What the f was that?
Not already, bro.
Did you hear that?
I did.
What the f was that?
Not already, bro.
Not in the mood.
We were shocked when we went up there and it went from absolute silence to sticks and bushes breaking and rustling noises all around us.
If we encounter a bear while we're out here, I'm never doing another video that involves woods.
Yeah.
I'm done with it at this point.
Keep your ears peeled. Right in there.
Bro. I'm tripping, bro.
Me too.
Oh, I see the giving tree.
Do you?
Yeah, there's a chair up there with a bunch of hanging off it. This is trippy, man.
Now, I'm very sensitive to a lot of emotional and energy changes and switches. And going into the woods, it almost felt like we were stepping into another paradigm again. Like this is where the darkness resides.
You got all these different trinkets. You got like a whole glass bowl over here hanging with sage in it. I hear sticks like clapping together.
This place is a trip.
So let's make the offering. Is that an animal bone? Did someone offer it an animal?
Where?
Right there? What is that?
A skull or something.
Is it?
Whoa.
That was me. Sorry, hope I didn't break someone's arm.
The moment they set the REM pod down in the chair, it triggers immediately. They tell the spirit to back off. It holds its ground. Then, one of the crew does something so deeply disrespectful that Cannell goes completely silent, and the group scatters before anyone can intervene.
I don't know how to describe it other than the most storybook-esque, haunted horror flick, The Fog, that I can possibly explain to you. If there's someone here that's present in the pond.
Just so much fog, you could barely see the water.
Dude, look at all this fog. Whoa. We know. You smell that?
No.
It smells like sulfur.
Bro.
know. You smell that?
No.
It smells like sulfur.
Messenger.
Bro.
We know. You smell that?
No.
It smells like sulfur.
Messenger.
Bro. I know you heard that. Definitely was a trigger for me, having to go to another body of water after what we had encountered at one of the last investigations that we did.
The lake where human remains have reportedly been recovered from the water. The fog is so dense the camera can barely see through it. Casey approaches the shoreline by himself, and what reaches him from the surface of that water is enough to make him walk away.
We decided to go back into the Hinsdale house, and as we had entered the living room, I noticed something absolutely horrifying. Look at this.
That's not good.
No, come here, look at this.
I'm seeing it.
Are you seeing what I'm seeing?
Yeah.
It's not just open, it's like hanging out.
What the fuck?
I looked across the living room and I saw the case that the doll was in was actually open now. Look at this.
That's not good.
No, come here, look at this.
I'm seeing it.
Are you seeing what I'm seeing?
Yeah.
I'm 100% positive that I closed the case. Looking at it, it's opened and the doll was moved.
Was that close when we walked out?
It was 100% closed. I closed it. And that doll was way further back in there, bro. I have goosebumps all over my body right now.
Bro, it feels like I have pins and needles sticking in my arms.
I feel like I should close it, right?
I mean, yeah, probably.
That shit was all the way out.
Wait, shh. Is that coming from there?
Is that door in here?
No.
I think it is, bro.
Back inside the ritual room, they make one final attempt at contact. The flashlight responds to every single question. Then Cannell asks the one thing you should never ask a spirit.
Even more scary, knowing that Casey was going to be outside, locked in the truck, however many yards away from the house, while I'm in here by myself next to this doll that is completely off limits to touch, and it had already moved once throughout the night on its own.
I felt scared for him when I walked outside.
Is whatever spirit is present what is moving the ghost in the room.
Children.
Is whatever presence is here evil?
Beyond. As I sit there, I'm extremely uneasy. I almost can't sit still. I feel like something's gonna touch me or something's gonna pull on me. And I started hearing really clear words coming through the spirit box.
Are you upset that Colt is in there right now by himself?
Maybe so.
What is keeping you here? What is keeping you attached to this home?
Distress.
Is there more than one spirit present here?
Oh, yes.
How many? Can you give me a direct number? Is there more than one spirit present here?
Oh, yes.
How many? Can you give me a direct number?
Last thing. Had I known that that case had opened next to me, I would have probably bolted out of the building.
How many? Can you give me a direct number?
Last thing.
Do you want us to leave this place?
Hasty.
Hasty. If you would like us to leave this place hastily,
Out of.
give us a sign. Show us something. Here. Let's go see. Let's go get him.
Backward.
Let's go get him.
Oh no. Fresh.
Holy shit. It's like someone.
The final session takes place in the basement, a blind spirit box experiment with Colton sitting in complete darkness, blindfolded and wearing earmuffs, positioned right next to the doll case. Casey is outside in the truck asking questions Colton has no way of hearing. When Casey asks how many spirits are currently in the house, the response that comes through stops him cold, and he takes off running back inside. What he encounters at the door, though, is more unsettling than anything waiting for him on the other side. By the time they finally left, Colton's hand was still seizing up from when he had touched the doll hours before. Casey described feeling the ground shift beneath him a moment before Colton reached out and grabbed him. Colton had clutched his shoulder in the darkness, and the door Casey had already passed through twice that same night refused to open when he tried to get back to his partner. Something had changed in that house. This clip dates back to 2019, captured by a security camera keeping watch over a living room and kitchen in the dead of night. Every member of the household was sound asleep, the entire home wrapped in total silence, and it was in that silence that the camera picked up something no one inside was conscious to witness. There's already something deeply unsettling about staring at an empty living room through night vision at 3 in the morning. The green wash of the lens, the stillness, the quiet awareness that every person who lives in that home is fast asleep and completely oblivious. What the camera documented during those early hours only deepens that unease in a way that no tidy, logical explanation has managed to fully put to rest. Something passed through that room while the family lay sleeping. The camera was the only witness. No one under that roof had any idea it had occurred until they reviewed the footage afterward. That disconnect between what was captured on camera and what went unnoticed in the moment, that's the part that lingers. On April 17th, 2026, an 18-year-old woman from India reportedly vanished under deeply unsettling circumstances. That morning, she left her family's home and was meant to wait outside a nearby store until her father came to collect her around midday. But when he arrived, she was nowhere to be found. He dialed her number over and over, and every single time there was no answer. Initially, her family held on to hope that there was some reasonable explanation. Maybe she had wandered off briefly. Maybe her battery had died. But as the hours ticked by with no word from her, that hope gave way to sheer panic. It was as though she had simply ceased to exist, leaving nothing behind. Her family filed a missing persons report, and the detective assigned to the case began pulling CCTV footage from surrounding businesses, hoping something had been captured on camera. What he found didn't bring clarity, it only deepened the mystery.
तिकडं बघितलं बघ तिने
त्रास होते वाटतं मला ये भाऊ लवकर आहे लवकर आहे
बघ रे
In the recording, she can clearly be seen standing outside, exactly where she was supposed to be. For a brief moment, everything appears completely ordinary. And then, without warning, she tilts her head upward, slightly extends her arm, and begins walking away, as though being drawn in a direction by something no one else can perceive. She drifts out of frame and, according to investigators, is never spotted again. Because this is believed to be the final documented footage of her before she went missing, authorities eventually released the clip publicly, appealing for anyone with information to reach out. But what unsettled viewers most wasn't just the fact that she disappeared, it was the manner in which she moved. No running, no visible distress, no hesitation. She simply looks up and glides away, arm outstretched as if responding to something invisible. Rational minds suggest there could be a perfectly logical reason. Someone standing just off camera, a phone notification, something beyond the frame grabbing her attention. But plenty of others feel the footage carries a weight that logic struggles to account for, as if some unseen force had a hold on her. So what actually happened to this young woman that afternoon? Is this a missing persons case still waiting for its answer? Or is it one of the most chilling unexplained disappearances ever preserved on security footage? Leave your theory in the comments, because honestly, this one is far from resolved. This next clip may only run for a couple of seconds, but that's plenty of time for it to have people seriously puzzled. It was uploaded to TikTok by a user called Midget87 and appears to show security footage from the poster's front yard late at night. For a moment, nothing seems out of the ordinary, and then everything changes. Just about here, an extremely tall figure moves across the yard before vanishing out of frame within moments. The first thing that jumps out is just how tall this thing appears to be. The uploader states that the fence you can see in the background is roughly 6 feet high, which would put the figure well above the height of a typical person. The way it moves is strange too. There's no hesitation, no reaction to the surroundings. It just keeps going, straight across the yard. A number of viewers have drawn comparisons to the towering humanoid creatures that frequently show up in paranormal accounts and urban mythology. Without more footage or additional context, pinning down exactly what this is remains nearly impossible. That said, if the fence measurement is accurate, the sheer scale of whatever this is keeps drawing people back to it. Unfortunately, there's not a lot more information to go on beyond what the video shows us, but something is clearly passing through that yard, and it doesn't look like anything ordinary. So what's your take? Are we looking at some kind of supernatural entity, or could there be another explanation? On May 26, 2025, a man by the name of Ray Savage uploaded footage that caught everyone completely off guard. What had appeared to be a calm, uneventful night deep in the woods revealed something far more unsettling lurking just beyond the tree line.
This spot, I found a deer trail. Look where it goes. So I, parked down that way. Walked up here, it keeps going on up there, and I want to look up that.
Ray's plans were nothing out of the ordinary, just a solo trip into the outdoors. He'd brought his camera along to document local wildlife. The spot he'd chosen was an isolated forest trail, rarely visited by other people, making it ideal for catching deer and other animals on film. He set up both a trail camera and an audio recorder before settling in at his nearby campsite, hoping to pick up natural sounds and animal activity throughout the night.
Got it set up. It's facing over there perfectly, but I've got a nice little treat for you guys. There's the sound recorder. Okay, so I'm going to have the trail cam going. I'm also going to have the sound recorder going.
As far as Ray was concerned, nothing unusual happened. He spent the night breathing in the forest air and enjoying the silence, with no idea whatsoever about what was unfolding just meters from where he lay sleeping. The next day, once he'd returned home, He sat down to go through the footage. Mixed in with the expected animal clips was something that had absolutely no business being there. Something deeply unsettling. His trail camera had recorded a man moving through the woods in the dead of night, barefoot, shirtless, and carrying an axe. No light source, no equipment. No obvious explanation for why anyone would be wandering a remote trail at 4 in the morning. The figure crossed the frame with a slow, deliberate stride, like something pulled straight out of a horror movie. What made it truly chilling was the realization that this person had been out there while Ray slept only a short distance away. Luckily, the two never crossed paths, but it was more than enough for Ray to permanently strike that trail from his list. Because sometimes the most serious threat in the wilderness has nothing to do with the animals. This eerie clip was posted on October 24th, 2025 by a French TikTok creator going by the name Darksha. According to him, something unsettling unfolded while he was getting ready for bed one evening. The video starts with him laying in his darkened room when suddenly his eyes are drawn to something shifting in the shadows. Convinced that something was off, he swung his camera in that direction and hit record. If you look closely, a dark, smoke-like form can be seen slowly drifting through the room. Over time, the shadowy shape appears to inch its way toward his bed. What makes the clip even harder to dismiss is what unfolds the moment he flips on the light. As soon as the room brightens, the dark form seems to vanish entirely, leaving nothing behind. At one point, Darksha is also shown clutching a cross, which suggests he was genuinely shaken by whatever he was witnessing. Ever since the video went up, people have come forward with all kinds of theories. Some say it was simply the result of shadows, lighting tricks, or a glitch with the camera, while others are convinced the footage captured something far less easy to rationalize. By the time the video ends, what actually took place after the lights came on remains completely unclear, and the debate surrounding it shows no signs of dying down. They're saying that the most unsettling places are the ones that should be completely empty, and that's precisely what two young women claim they stumbled upon along a desolate road somewhere in Argentina. They were heading home late at night when an old house on the side of the road pulled their gaze. It seemed like just another forgotten structure at first, but then something shifted in one of the windows.
Lo grabé justo.
A shadowy figure was visible inside, moving rapidly back and forth across the room, unnaturally so, repeating the same motion over and over, as though it were caught in some kind of endless cycle. The women couldn't look away, and the more they watched, the more disturbing it became. By their account, this behavior went on for over 10 minutes, the same movement, relentlessly, without variation, without pause. No clear reason for it existed, and yet that isn't even the most unsettling part of the story. Years passed, and as their footage continued spreading across the internet, certain viewers grew intrigued enough to start researching the location. That's when a second recording surfaced, filmed at that very same house more than 10 years prior.
Mira, pasok mira, ah, mira, mira, ay separaw eh, ay separaw eh.
Mira Ángel,
Ángel,
separaw ay mira.
Ángel, mira separaw eh, mira.
¿Lo ves?
Mira si negro que está ahí, ay separaw eh. Fíjate si se mueve, mira, ay separaw eh. Mira si negro que está, mira de ahí Ángel, ay separaw eh. Ahí quedó parado, ahí se va a mover, mira. Hasta calma, hasta calma. Mira los negros que está ahí. Ahí eso. ¿Ah? ¿Arriba el techo?
Remarkably, that earlier video appeared to capture the exact same thing, a figure drifting through the space in an almost identical pattern. But then the behavior shifts. The figure abruptly stops, and what follows is arguably more disturbing. The silhouette begins drifting toward the window, rotating ever so slightly, as though it had become aware of the camera, as though it was staring straight back at the person holding it. Then, just moments later, it resumes that same frantic back and forth motion. Shaken by what he'd recorded, the man behind that earlier footage decided to look into the property, and what he found was telling. Nobody was supposed to be living there. The house had long been vacant, meaning there should have been no one inside, let alone someone moving in that particular way. Now, it's entirely possible someone had broken in, or that the footage conceals some rational explanation we simply can't make out. But there's one thing that's genuinely difficult to dismiss. The way that figure moves doesn't sit right. It's the kind of thing that would make most people think twice about cruising past that house once the sun goes down. So, what's your take? The following video was recorded late one night when a mother noticed her 7-year-old son standing in her bedroom holding a small dark frame mirror up to a larger full-length mirror propped against the wall, and something about his focus, the way he stared into those layered reflections without looking away, made her pick up her phone. Watch.
Why are you doing that?
Hey Mom, there's so many rooms you can cross.
I don't like that. I don't want you to open a portal in my room.
I want to see what happens.
Why?
I want to, Mommy. After this place is torn, Mom, there's so many rooms. Hey Mom, there's so many rooms. Instead of the store, it's so many rooms.
You see a store in the rooms. What?
No.
What do you see?
Lots of rooms.
Hmm. Why do you want to do this?
Oh, because I like to.
Why? Why do you want to open portals?
Hey Mom, would you want to come?
No. No, I don't.
Hey Mom, if you see this, it looks pretty normal.
He's not just playing, he's pointing into the glass, describing rooms. So many rooms, he keeps saying, like corridors stretching somewhere the camera can't reach. And when his mother asks if she can come, he extends a casual invitation, as if the door is already open. That detail is the one that lingers. Some believe children are genuinely more perceptive to things adults have learned to filter out, that their minds aren't yet conditioned to dismiss what they see. Others think the infinity mirror effect creates a visual that an imaginative 7-year-old naturally builds a story around. But if you listen to how specific he is, not monsters, not darkness, just rooms, it doesn't quite sound like a bedtime game. What do you think he was actually looking at? Now, in this next clip, a man performs a full blessing ritual inside his home, walking room to room, sprinkling holy water, and commanding any demonic presence to leave in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. He's holding a large white Bible, speaking in a firm, commanding tone, and the whole thing feels purposeful. Like this isn't the first time something has pushed him to this point. The sunlight is pouring through the windows, casting clean shadows across the wood floor, and the room looks completely ordinary. A small cat is sitting quietly in a black rocking chair in the background, unbothered. When he finishes the blessing, he leaves the room and the camera keeps recording. Watch.
In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, I command you, any demon that's on this house, I order you in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit to leave this house. I use this holy water so all demons evacuate immediately out of my house. You are not welcome in this house. You are not welcome at all in my property. In Jesus' name, in Jesus Christ's name, you are to leave my house immediately. You are not welcome in my house whatsoever. You is to evacuate in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. This holy water is to evacuate all negative entities in the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Lord Father, I ask you to please use this holy water as my sword, as my weapon to push all these demons out of my house. Lord Father, in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, in Jesus' name, amen, Father.
What happens next is hard to explain away. A few seconds after the room goes still, the red Christian cross mounted on the back wall flips completely upside down, swift, mechanical, and with no one anywhere near it. Then, not long after, the black rocking chair begins to move on its own, slowly at first, then with a steady, rhythmic pace, and the cat just sits there in it, calm, like it doesn't notice anything wrong. If you focus on the sequence here, the response comes directly after the blessing, and that timing is what's unsettling a lot of people. An inverted cross carries obvious symbolic weight, and many believe what happened in that room wasn't random, but reactive, a deliberate answer to being commanded to leave. Some viewers think whatever's in that house wasn't driven out, but provoked. Skeptics argue hidden mechanisms could explain both events, and the staging is clean enough to make that worth considering. But if this was staged, like and subscribe if you're enjoying watching this video. Either way, the question that keeps coming back is this: if the blessing didn't work, what does he do next? Before we head back in, one quick thing. All of our videos are now on Spotify, so if that's where you tend to be late at night, every compilation we've made is sitting there waiting for you. Watch it however you'd rather watch it. The link's in the bio. Now, back to the video. Now, in this next clip, a man is alone in a dark house at night, moving through it room by room with only a flashlight to guide him, and what he finds along the way is the kind of thing that makes you stop and question whether whatever was inside had already left, or whether it never left at all. He's been documenting what he describes as poltergeist activity, and from the very first room he enters, the signs are already there. The first door he approaches is latched shut from the outside, which should mean nothing unusual, except when he pushes it open, a wooden broom handle tumbles forward, having been propped against the inside of the door, wedging it shut from within. That's not possible if the bolt was locked from the outside. He moves deeper into the house, sweeping his flashlight through a dark kitchen, a utility room, a back porch. Watch. What unfolds across the next 3 minutes is a series of discoveries, each one harder to dismiss than the last. Outside the back door, a trail of fresh muddy footprints leads from the dark yard directly into the house. A second interior door, also latched from the outside, opens to reveal yet another wooden pole braced against it from within. A second barricade in a room that should have been sealed shut. In the hallway, a kitchen knife lies flat in the middle of the tiled floor with no explanation for how it got there. And a large stuffed animal, which wasn't visible when the camera passed that same shelf earlier in the video, is now wedged awkwardly into the shelving unit in a way that looks deliberate. Then, in a basement utility room behind a curtain, the flashlight lands on something that stops the whole clip cold. A circular pattern drawn in white powder on the concrete floor. No footprints around it, no obvious explanation for who made it or when. The term poltergeist comes from the German words poltern and geist, meaning roughly noisy ghost, a spirit known not for appearing but for interacting with the physical world, moving and staging objects in ways that feel almost intentional. What's notable about poltergeist cases historically is that they tend to center around a specific person rather than a specific place, which means the activity doesn't stay behind when that person leaves. Skeptics looking at this footage will point to the cuts and the camera edits and argue the whole thing is staged. And admittedly, a door barricaded from inside while locked from outside is physically impossible without a second person. But if you follow the logic of the clip on its own terms, the circular powder symbol on that basement floor is the detail that lingers longest. Ritual markings, barricaded rooms, a knife placed in the open. Whether this is genuine or constructed, something wanted to send a message. What that message is, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. The following video was recorded by a young woman who has clearly been through this before, and not just once or twice. According to her own words, she's shown her audience the same empty closet at least 20 times, which tells you everything you need to know about how long this has been going on. She's recording late at night in her bedroom, speaking in Spanish, visibly exhausted and more annoyed than afraid when something inside the closet starts making itself known again. Watch.
Lo rompebolas se pone cada vez que llegamos a la sesión. Nadie entra a este placar. Ustedes 20 veces se los he mostrado, creo. No hay chance de que alguien entre acá. ¿Cómo les gusta romper las bolas? Es increíble.
A series of loud, violent bangs erupt from behind the closed closet doors. Heavy, percussive hits that sound like something striking the inside of the door with real force. She slides both panels open and moves the hanging clothes aside with her hand, showing the space is completely clear. No one inside. Nothing out of place. She closes the doors and mutters something to the effect of how annoying they get every time we come back from the session, which is a detail worth pausing on. She uses the word session, suggesting this activity might be tied to something she and others are actively participating in, something that seems to stir up a response every single time. What's interesting is that she doesn't scream or run, she just checks. Some people believe that repeated paranormal activity of this kind, specifically sounds that originate from enclosed spaces with no visible cause, can indicate a presence that's learned the rhythms of the household, acting out at predictable moments rather than randomly. Whatever is in that closet, it apparently knows when she's home. Not long after, the same woman captures something outside her bedroom window. Watch.
Miren cómo hace la luz del patio. No, hermano, ¿y eso qué mierda es? ¿Qué mierda es eso? No, la puta que los parió.
A patio light flashes on and off on its own, and when she pans the camera toward the window, there's a small, dark, hunched silhouette perched completely still on the exterior windowsill. Something with what looks like two pointed ears, barely visible through the glass and the security bars. Her reaction shifts from casual observation to genuine terror almost instantly. She goes from pointing out the flickering light to screaming a string of expletives in the space of about 4 seconds. Now, a small hunched figure with pointed ears on a windowsill could be a cat. And skeptics would say that's exactly what it is. But what makes this harder to dismiss is the combination. The unexplained light flicker, and then that figure, in the same 30-second window, in the same room where the closet banging has been going on for weeks. Some who follow Latin American paranormal traditions have pointed to the Nagual, a shape-shifting entity from Mesoamerican folklore said to take animal form, sometimes appearing at windows or thresholds as a warning or as a presence testing its way in. That doesn't explain it, but it does give you a framework for why so many viewers from that region reacted the way they did. Then, it got worse. The same night, she films herself again, this time at 3 in the morning, starting to explain that she and whoever she lives with have just been woken up by noises, and she's about to say where those noises were coming from. Listen closely.
Son las 3 de la mañana y nos acaban de despertar los ríos.
The door opened itself while she was in the middle of explaining her current situation, which is the kind of timing that's very difficult to stage convincingly. Now, this next clip captures something in a different space entirely. A daytime bedroom shared by 2 young men, one sitting on his bed using a tablet, the other at a computer desk deep in a video game. Neither of them is thinking about anything unusual. Take a look. Something pulled her hair, and in paranormal folklore, hair pulling is often categorized as a more direct form of interaction than knocks, footsteps, or moving objects. Many traditions interpret physical contact as a sign that a presence is attempting to make itself known rather than simply occupying a location. Whether those beliefs have any basis in reality is impossible to prove, but they remain a recurring theme in countless reports from around the world. This next clip was filmed inside a laundry room at dusk by a woman who says her former husband used to tease her for believing in signs, and now she thinks he's the one sending them. She's pointing her camera up at the ceiling light fixture, which is off, and she asks out loud for a sign. Watch.
Okay, do it again. Flash on to say hi. Hi! I need to show this to the kids. Okay, can you turn the lights out now? Okay, maybe not. Oh, here we go. You do know I love this. One more time. Oh my gosh, I love it. I was just telling Deb about this last night.
That light turns on immediately after she asks. Then she asks for it to go off. And it does. Then she asks one more time, laughing softly as it floods the room with light again. 3 requests, 3 direct responses, with no one near a switch. Skeptics will point to faulty wiring or loose connection, and that's a fair argument on its own. But the timing is what makes it hard to dismiss. Each response lands within seconds of her asking, almost like a conversation. Some believe lights are one of the most common ways spirits make contact, drawn to electrical energy because it's easier to manipulate than physical objects. Whether that's what you're watching here or something far more ordinary is honestly a question only she can answer. The following video was recorded by a group of construction workers who had been hired to renovate part of what appears to be an abandoned shopping mall, a massive structure that had long since fallen silent with shuttered storefronts, empty corridors, and entire sections left untouched for years. Places like this tend to develop stories of their own, simply because they're so empty that even the smallest movement immediately stands out. According to the workers, they were carrying out routine work when one of them noticed something unusual farther down a hallway and instinctively pulled out his phone to record. Watch. What appears to be a small child can be seen running before disappearing from sight. The figure moves quickly enough that it's difficult to make out clear details, but many viewers were immediately struck by how much it resembles a little girl darting through the abandoned building. Naturally, some people suggested a living child may have wandered into the property, especially if the building wasn't completely secured. But that explanation raises its own questions. Abandoned malls are often dangerous environments filled with hazards, exposed materials, and unstable areas, making them unusual places for a child to be running around unattended. Others focused on something else entirely: the location itself. Large abandoned buildings, particularly former schools, hospitals, theaters, and shopping centers, have long been associated with reports of phantom figures and unexplained sightings. In paranormal folklore, child apparitions are often described as fleeting manifestations, rarely remaining visible for more than a few seconds before vanishing around corners or through doorways. Witnesses frequently report seeing them running, playing, or moving through locations as though unaware that anyone is watching. So did the workers accidentally capture a child somewhere she wasn't supposed to be? Or did they record something that shouldn't have been inside that abandoned mall at all? You decide. In this next clip, a man had been going about his day at home when he started hearing something he couldn't explain what he describes as voices coming from his attic. Not faint background noise, but something that sounded to him like a full-blown conversation happening right above his head. He grabbed his phone and went up to check, but before reviewing the footage himself, he didn't notice anything. It was only when he watched the recording back that he realized something had been caught in the brief moment his camera swept upward into the dark. Watch.
I genuinely believe that I might have caught a ghost on camera in my attic. I just heard voices up in the attic, and I went to go check, and then I watched the footage back, and just watch it. Well, I don't see anything up here. I swear it sounded like somebody was having a full-blown conversation up here, like a one-way conversation. It sounded like a woman. I don't know. Did you see it? It was there and then it wasn't? Oh, I'm freaked out.
As he climbs into the attic, the camera's light sweeps across the rafters, and for about 1 second, a faint, wispy white shape drifts quickly from the left side of the frame to the right before vanishing entirely. It's translucent, fluid not quite like dust, not quite like anything else. Skeptics would point to lens flare or a disturbance of airborne particles, and honestly, at this resolution, that's a reasonable argument. But if you watch closely, the movement has a direction and a flow that feels distinct from random debris. And then there's what he says afterward, that he heard what sounded like a woman's voice, coming from a space where nobody else was. Now in this next clip, a man working a closing shift at a large supermarket is doing exactly what you'd expect at the end of a long night collecting carts, clearing out the aisles, wrapping things up before heading home. He's narrating casually into his phone in Spanish, explaining that the store is already shutting down and that only a handful of employees are still inside. It should be completely routine. But then, about 6 seconds in, something crosses the aisle ahead of him at the far end of the store. Watch.
Y ya la neta, ya la tienda ya la están cerrando. De hecho, estamos recogiendo ya los carros, llenando todo lo que se quedó en los... Estoy viendo a un niño como jugando. Mira, ¿sí vieron? Y ya está, ya la tienda ya está cerrada. Ya, pues ya nada más estamos recogiendo lo de los pasillos. No mames, ¿sí vieron? Vete a la mierda. Y ya está todo cerrado aquí. Me voy a acercar. Míralo, ahí está como que jugando. Está como que metiéndose entre los pasillos. No me quiero ni acercar, la neta me da un chingo de miedo, pero... Ay, güey, ¿qué hago? A ver, me voy por acá.
Y es que ya no hay nada de gente, ni siquiera están sus padres, o sea, no hay literalmente nadie. Niño, ya cerraron la tienda, vámonos. ¿Estás perdido? Niño. No mames, ya no está. Niño. Niño. ¿Estás perdido? Y ya la neta, ya la tienda ya la están cerrando. De hecho estamos recogiendo ya los carros, llenando todo lo que se quedó en los... Mierda. A ver, ya tengo que acabar con esto, ¿Dónde se metió? Güey, ¿qué pedo? ¿Qué pedo? ¿Sí vieron? Ya no hay absolutamente nadie. No mames. Esto es en la tienda donde trabajo. Y bueno, eso es lo que pasa. La verdad es que ya van varias noches que se escuchan ruidos y se ven apariciones. Pero bueno.
What darts across that aisle moves so fast, there's almost no time to register it a small, dark, humanoid shape, roughly the size of a child, crossing from one side to the other and vanishing behind the shelving. His gasp and the string of profanity that follows happen in the same breath. When he moves into a different section of the store, a second encounter begins, and this one is slower, which somehow makes it worse. A gray, shadowy figure is visible low to the ground, crawling on all fours in a disjointed, unnatural way, inching down the center of the aisle before disappearing behind a product display. He whispers that he thinks he's seen a child playing. He calls out into a dark aisle neo, "The store's closed, let's go, are you lost?" and nothing calls back. Some viewers immediately labeled it a duende, a small mischievous spirit recognized across Latin American and Spanish folklore, said to inhabit spaces where children once were. Others aren't convinced the footage is unaltered. But he later mentions this has been happening for several nights noises, apparitions, the same recurring presence in the aisles. What do you make of something that keeps coming back? Now in this next clip, a woman in Indonesia had been dealing with the same terrifying pattern every single night, and on June 1st of 2026, at exactly 3 a.m., her security camera caught the whole thing from start to finish. She'd set up the camera herself, according to the footage, because she needed proof of what was happening to her while she slept. The room looks ordinary enough: a bed, a white dresser, a closed door, but the timestamp ticking over to 3 a.m. is all it takes. Watch. The moment the clock hits 3 in the morning, a distorted lullaby starts playing on its own, a warped, slowed down version of Nina Bobo, a traditional Indonesian children's bedtime song that, in this context, sounds nothing like comfort. And that alone is terrifying. She wakes immediately, pulling her knees to her chest with her hands pressed over her ears, clearly sobbing. Then a loud bang from somewhere near the door. She finds the source, a small pink music box on the floor near her bed, and what follows is almost unbearable to watch. She slams it against her hand against the mattress, throws it across the room. It doesn't stop. The music only becomes more warped and distorted, like something is deliberately slowing it down. She eventually breaks into a full panic, shoving items into a bag as if she's leaving that second, then gives up entirely, curls back into bed, and just cries. Nina Bobo, for those unfamiliar, is one of the most recognizable lullabies in Indonesian culture, sung to put children to sleep, which makes a corrupted version of it playing by itself in the dark feel like something is mocking the very idea of rest. If you look at the floor at the foot of the bed in those first few seconds, you'll also notice a small, dark-haired doll appears there almost instantaneously, and no one can quite explain where it came from. So what exactly is in that room with her? Now, in this next clip, a man is lying on his mattress on the floor of a small room late at night, scrolling on his phone, when a pillow on the floor near him starts doing something he can't immediately explain. He can hear the scraping, and from the sounds he makes, his first instinct is that someone nearby is pulling a prank on him, calling it out in Arabic, telling whoever's responsible to knock it off. He's clearly annoyed, not scared. Not yet. Watch.
¿Qué traje?
جدع ما تعملهاش تاني بقى.
Something moves towards him, jerking and scraping several feet before stopping. When he reaches over and pulls the cover away to expose what's underneath, his scream tells you everything you need to know about what that felt like in the moment. Skeptics point to hidden strings or a wire pull mechanism, and the conveniently placed camera does raise questions. But others aren't so sure. Some believe certain objects can become vessels for unseen energy, especially when concealed. The following videos were recorded inside an old antique, filled home the kind of place that already feels like it carries something with it. Heavy decor, taxidermy on every wall, a corridor that reportedly turns ice cold without warning. The man who lives there says mornings have become the worst time of day. It's barely past 7 a.m., and before he's even had his coffee, his 2 ginger cats are already agitated, pacing and staring at nothing. He grabs his camera and starts walking through the house, asking out loud what it wants, and for a moment things stay quiet until they don't. Watch.
Okay, I'm just about to have my morning brew and these two are trying to get my attention again. What is it? What do you want, mate? You playing up again? At something past 7? The hell? I've literally got my suit ready to go. That's how early it is in the morning. What is it, boys? They always start acting up, the clown, when there's something about to go on. And they've been hitting at my legs to try and get me to... What the hell? Are you hearing this? Just banging? I would appreciate it if whatever is going on in here, you stop trying to destroy my things. What do you want? You can see something. I know you can. You can, can't you? That's moving. Well, I think it got banged. What do you want? Give it a break. Boys, stop fighting. See, they don't do this. Something's upset them. What is it, boys? Come on. Here we go with the coldness. The corridor's freezing. Most importantly, I have to get ready and go out for the day. What do you want? Is this Edith? The lady who's came through before? Hello? Where are you? Hello? What do you want? Are you in here? Show yourself. There's nobody here, see? What on earth?
What unfolds over the next few minutes is a sustained string of physical disturbances, bangs from off camera, a small red box thrown across the room from near the fireplace with no one visible near it, a framed picture shaking violently from an unseen impact, and then the moment that stops everything, a loud crack and crash as the front door, which he insists was locked, flies open on its own, sending a set of keys skittering across the floor. He goes outside, looks around, and there's nobody there. For viewers who followed similar cases, this pattern matches what paranormal researchers have long associated with poltergeist activity, a term that comes from the German words for rumbling spirit, used historically to describe a phenomenon that's less about haunting a place and more about targeting a specific person, often through escalating physical force. What makes it harder to dismiss is that poltergeist activity, according to accounts going back centuries, doesn't tend to fade quietly, it tends to push further until something forces a resolution. His cats seem to sense it before each event, which a lot of viewers found telling. Animals reacting ahead of the disturbances is a detail that keeps coming up in these kinds of cases. And whatever is in that house clearly wasn't done. The second clip was recorded in the same home this time, with a woman and a young girl present, both of them sitting on the couch when the woman suddenly says she's just seen a shadow on the wall, describing it as an old lady. The man filming sounds skeptical. Take a look.
Hello? We've just heard noises upstairs, but it's just us three in.
Oh, what's that? Right.
You okay?
Right.
What?
I've just seen a shadow on the wall like an old lady.
Go away.
No, I'm not joking.
Are you joking?
Right. Right, Carly, come in here, babe.
What the heck?
Come in here, Hal.
Hello?
Did you see it?
I didn't know.
Oh, God. You know, Hal.
Oh my word.
Oh, my God. I'm an idiot.
Right, okay. We're going into the garden, maybe?
Yeah, I'll take it away.
Yeah. Jesus. Get out of this home. You are not welcome. Get out. Jesus.
Within seconds of her saying it, a wine bottle and a glass carafe are violently thrown off a nearby table, no one close to them. No explanation. Then, before anyone can process that, the heavy brass fire screen and a long fire poker crash forward from the fireplace with a sharp metallic impact that sends the woman immediately calling for the child and heading toward the door. He addresses the room directly before they leave, telling whatever's there to get out. Some viewers believe the shadow the woman described, an old lady, could point to a former resident of the home still moving through it, confused or protective of the space. Others think what they're watching is a textbook poltergeist escalation, the activity growing louder and more physical each time the house is occupied. What no one seems able to answer is why it keeps getting worse, and whether telling it to leave has ever actually worked. The following video was recorded by a young woman at 3 in the morning. She'd been woken up by something she couldn't explain and reached for her phone to document it. She's filming from her bedroom, visibly exhausted, eyes watery, and the fear on her face is immediate. In Spanish, she tells whoever might be watching that she has to be up in 3 hours, that she's not going to open the door, and that she is absolutely not going to go check. Watch.
Son las 3 de la mañana y si le está dando por correr en el pasillo. No pienso abrir la puerta, no pienso ir a fijarme, son las 3 de la mañana. Yo me tengo que levantar en 3 horas y me despertó a escucharlo correr. No para.
The sound you hear throughout that entire clip is heavy rhythmic running coming from the hallway just beyond her door, and it doesn't stop once. Some believe this kind of 3 a.m. disturbance is tied to what many cultures call the Devil's Hour, a window considered spiritually vulnerable when unexplained activity is said to peak. Others think something more physical was moving through that hallway. But whatever it was, she never opened that door, and honestly, you can't blame her. This next clip is an update from the family that once opened their door after weeks of strange knocking. The same family whose life changed from odd disturbances to full-blown haunting. Now, just when they thought things might calm down, the activity has escalated, and it's getting worse, especially around the kitchen. Watch.
Padre Santo. Padre nuestro que estás en el cielo, santificado sea tu nombre. Venga a nosotros tu reino. Hágase tu voluntad así en la tierra como en el cielo.
This isn't the soft, tentative knocking of before. This is aggressive, hard, demanding. It rattles the door's frame. It shakes the house. It doesn't stop after 1 or 2 knocks. It repeats, builds, as though whatever's on the other side has run out of patience and is desperate to get in. That alone raises a chilling question. They once opened the door, and after that, chaos followed. So why is there knocking again? Some believe when a spirit becomes comfortable with a house, it doesn't stay alone. It invites others. And those other presences tend to be far less patient, far more dangerous. With this kind of knocking, the thing behind the door could be far worse than what first showed up. Opening it may no longer just let in a curious specter, but something malevolent, something hungry. As desperate as this family must be, at this point, opening the door isn't an option. Not until they have a plan or someone powerful enough to handle what might come through. If you were them, what would you do now? Change house? Set up protection? Call professionals? Whatever their next move is, one thing is certain. What's behind that door may be beyond anything they've seen before, and until we get more footage, more answers, or some clarity, this remains a mystery. This next clip is also an update from a previous investigation where a team of ghost hunters explored an old property that once belonged to an elderly couple who passed away, leaving the home abandoned for years. For days they've been at the house, documenting everything from soft knocks echoing through the hallway to objects subtly shifting whenever no one was looking. At one point, if they reached out to pick something up, no matter whether it was a notebook, a candle, or even a cup, the table would suddenly start vibrating violently until they dropped the item, almost like the spirit was warning them, "Don't touch my things." Even then, the investigators didn't leave. They felt strongly that whatever was there wasn't aggressive, only protective. So they tried something different, something that would confirm whether a spirit was truly responding to them. Watch this.
Punem aici în geam și peste? Da, nu știu, punem... Da, punem jos acolo. Aici în casă? Mai aici, în spate, la tablou. Au pisare asta, nu știu pe ceva. Așa? Da, nu contează. Dar ce vrei să fac? Hai să vezi acum șmecherie. Explică-mi și mie. Deci îl lăsăm pe Nea Gheorghe aici, da? Bun. Acum. Închidem balconul. Eu am prins care-i fază, ca să știți. Dar să nu și noi, poate murim noi, ca măcar... dar parcă n-ai mai murit. Da, am murit, dar nu te mai am. Oricare spirit te află aici, oricare entitate, oricare demon, oricare strigoi, Prin puterea primordială îți ordon să miști tabloul ăsta sau să-l dai jos sau...
Eu am limba.
Da? Deci ceva se lega. Nu mă sperii, nu rămân surprins. Fiindcă știam, eram sigur, 90% eram sigur că o să se întâmple chestia asta.
Adică când ești amândoi în balcon faci așa?
Da, fii atent. Păi așa că-l iau. Stai așa, mă. Am luat pe Nea Gheorghe și lăsăm mai...
Și acum ce se întâmplă? Din timp murim?
Băi, oricare spirit te afla aici, oricare entitate, oricare demon, oricare suflet neliniștit, prin puterea primordială îți ordon să miști. Du-te, fă cu meciul tău, tragă meciul tău, l-o da jos să moară familia mea, l-o dau jos.
That moment was all the proof they needed, and after that, the house changed. The activity grew stronger. Watch.
Ia-l repede, ia-l! O căzut singur. O căzut singur. Ai de pula mea. De pula mea.
Doamne, mi-am făcut cruci. Credeți-mă pe bunic, mi-am făcut cruci.
Credeți-mă, eu pentru mâine asta că nu
E gata-i.
Îl ard în tămâini.
E gata-i, nu mai, e gata-i.
Îl ard în tămâini.
O dispărut, mâncați-l. Tu, măi, Nea Gheorghe, măi.
Sfida-o cum stai așa.
Oricare spirit te afla aici, ți ordon să faci ceea ce faci, să faci în fața camerei. Poza e jos, mă, acolo, rămas jos.
What came next sparked a completely different debate among viewers. Have a look.
Bun, Nea Gheorghe, dacă tot ești acolo lângă păpușa aia, poți un pic să o miști sau să o faci să meargă? Deci dacă se mișcă păpușa, am plecat acasă, vă zic de pe acum. Băga mea, aș pula în dracu să-mi bag. Gata, îmi bag pula în casa asta. Gata, fraților, v-am bag în casa asta. Ieși afară, băga mea, aș pula, nică ne moară.
The discovery of those dolls shifted the entire conversation. Many began questioning whether the spirit they'd been communicating with was truly tied to the house, or tied to the dolls themselves. In the paranormal world, dolls are known to hold attachments. Spirits sometimes cling to them, reside in them, or even use them as vessels when they can't anchor themselves anywhere else. So now, there were two theories. Either the spirit belonged to someone who once lived in the home, or the previous owners unknowingly brought home a doll that already carried an attachment. After seeing those dolls move the way they did, the team didn't need any more convincing. They packed up their equipment, left the property immediately, and made it very clear they had no intention of spending another night inside that house. Now in this next video, a guy named Kyle, who you might remember from several of our previous videos, is still dealing with the same thing that's been tormenting him for months. Knocking sounds that seem to move from room to room, always following him, always getting louder. But this time, he was finally able to trace one of those knocks directly to the basement, and he discovered something that left him more confused than ever. Take a look.
Gosh dang it, I'm hearing that knocking sound again. There it is. Where is it coming from? Right there, right there. It's coming from this door. That's where it's been coming from. Somebody's knocking on or something is knocking on this freaking door. But there's nobody there, obviously. Well, at least I now know where it's coming from.
Finding no one at the door, no footsteps, not even a shadow fleeing the scene, left him with only one conclusion. Whatever is knocking isn't human. And honestly, after everything Kyle has been through in that house, this shouldn't even be surprising anymore. Because remember, this is the same guy who woke up one night and caught a dark figure standing frozen inside his crawl space, unmoving, just staring straight ahead as if it had been waiting for him. The same guy who's heard children laughing in the middle of the night, even though he has no kids, seen things in his attic shift around on their own, and has documented footsteps pacing inside the walls, things falling in the garage, small objects getting pushed across the floor, and the worst one yet, his home camera once caught a figure standing quietly beside his bed while he slept, vanishing just seconds before he woke up. All these incidents, from the crawl space, to the attic, to the garage, to his bedroom, and now the basement, connect in one disturbing pattern. Whatever is in this house moves freely, watches him, and makes itself known whenever it wants to. So until Kyle drops more updates, this remains one of the hardest cases to decode. In the following video, a guy and his partner have been dealing with something extremely unsettling inside their home. For days now, they've been coming back from work to find their living room and kitchen completely out of place. Pillows on the floor, cabinets half open, small items thrown across the room, and once, an entire stack of folded laundry scattered across the hallway as if someone walked through it intentionally. One of them insisted it had to be the cat, but the other argued that it didn't make sense. The cat isn't strong enough to knock over half the things they found on the ground. So to settle the argument once and for all, they installed cameras. Here's what the camera caught. This clearly shows the cat is innocent, but it also confirms something else entirely. The couple now has another presence in the house, one they never invited and one they don't understand. And after seeing that footage, their minds immediately shifted from who did this to what exactly are we living with and how dangerous can it be? So look closely at the clips to see if you can piece things together. Watch. After this second clip, people in the comments began forming their own theories. Many said the movement feels exactly like a child spirit, but it didn't only happen during the day. Watch this. Now, how do you explain a chair rocking on its own in the middle of the night? Almost as if someone was sitting in it and pushing off the ground with their feet. That detail alone shifted the conversation. Some viewers pointed out that this kind of night activity usually means the spirit is fully comfortable, too comfortable. Others believe the chair movement ties directly to the mess during the day, suggesting the same presence is active around the clock. If it really is a child spirit, it might not even realize it's causing fear, just doing what kids do, playing, exploring, touching things that don't belong to them. But until more updates are shared, and until the couple figures out exactly what kind of presence they're dealing with, this case remains completely unsolved.